And we're back with another Media Minute. Thanks everybody for joining. And today we've got an incredibly special guest, Ben Dubose, news editor for AMP Media. Ben, we're a great friend of yours. You're a great friend of ours. We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot. And tell us a little bit more about your day to day. You've got a diverse background. You're a passionate journalist, communicator. Tell us a little bit about your day to day.
Yeah, so I've been with AMP for 10 years. Well, half of that was with NACE International, one of the two legacy associations. But, my role is sort of unique in that to peel back the curtain, within AMP Media, there are three flagship brands. There's Corrosion Journal, there's Materials Performance, there's Coatings Pro. I deal primarily with Materials Performance Magazine and Coatings Pro Magazine. Generally, what the news editor role does that's different than the others on our staff, we have a lot of positions that are more technical in nature, editing these technical articles that come from the industry and, the meat and potatoes of the monthly magazines. What I do is try to respond to news that's more daily in nature, and so it often tends to be, website and podcast. I do, some for the print magazines as well, because there is some overlap. But just generally, what my role is, and I overlap with other departments as well, is to give us a day-to-day presence so that when major developments happen within our industry or touching on our industry, I can make sure that AMP Media is able to respond quickly and in a way that provides value to, our members in the industry.
That's phenomenal. Now, and to do that, as part of that, you have relationships with PR professionals,
Yep.
right? So tell us about that relationship. And when your day-to-day is in action, you're receiving a lot of emails. So tell us what is worth pursuing when you see an email pop up from one of our PR professionals in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing I'm looking for is it's someone that takes the time to understand our audience
Hmm.
and or presents us with a clear value add. In terms of, standing out beyond just, oh, here's a random PR that we'll put to sort of populate the news pages of our websites, like what makes sense to actually follow up, do more detailed coverage on reporting, maybe it's a feature story, maybe it's a podcast. Um, it's someone that understands our audience. And
Yeah.
so if you understand who the target audience of each brand is, why it makes sense for Materials Performance or Coatings Pro, or it can be, I guess AMP Media overall, but something that's beyond just, oh, this is loosely related, or here's something sort of touching on a company that's within your jurisdiction, so to speak. But where is the value add for our audience? And so the PR professionals that can sort of make that connection, those are those are the most useful to me. And then beyond that, it can also be connections. Look, we're only as good as the quality of information that we have. So if I'm being presented with an opportunity to, talk to a thought leader within our industry that beyond just making the pitch for a particular product or service and being a salesman, but can really speak to, things and trends that are applicable to the industry as a whole, those are the connections that make the wheels turn and make this worthwhile for me as a communicator and as a news editor at AMP Media.
And it sounds like access to certain individuals to help, have those
100%.
conversations is huge, right? So,
100%.
um, and a PR professional can provide that for you. Do you have any recent or star examples that you could share of how working together with both access information have really landed and formed a great story for you and your publication?
Sherwin-Williams is a good example. Like they're within our wheelhouse for both Coatings Pro and MP. So I deal with them a lot. And they're pretty good about making um I believe his name is Scott Hunsberger, their PR rep, making some of their heavy hitters available. And so, for example, we've had podcasts. They won one of our innovation awards in the 2025 cycle, I believe it was, for
Mhm.
materials performance. And we did a recap podcast with each of our winners, or we try to, if the scheduling doesn't work out, or for one reason or another, the winning company doesn't want to, we certainly can't and wouldn't require them to, but we give it as an option, and most do it because obviously it's a value add for their business, exposure, and whatnot. But Sherwin-Williams has consistently done a really good job, their PR team, of connecting us with some major heavy hitters within their business. It starts with the podcast and making those types of people available, but then it leads to the awards submissions.
Mhm.
It leads to technical articles, which either they've done or someone affiliated with them has done for our print publications. It
Mhm.
leads to case studies, which we've done in Coatings Pro. That's the most downstream of our publications. That to me is the classic model where we get involved at the highest levels. When I say shake hands, it can be shaking hands if we're out and
Sure.
about at one of the conferences or industry events, but it can be shaking hands in a digital sense. But then we make that connection. We feel more comfortable with one another because we're looking at each other face to face. And then that that initial podcast or that initial interview for maybe it's a Q&A or a future story in print, it then there's so much that happens downstream, and it turns into an awards submission. It turns into a technical article that they author. It's it's keeping the lines of communication open. To me, that's where I really see the biggest value add. It's not just one story that, oh my God, this is like I don't look at it necessarily as breaking news because, our role, we're not the New York Times. It's not necessarily about breaking news. It's more about the value add that we have in B2B is having good relationships with major influential people and thought leaders in the industry. And so it's, having that podcast, that initial interview, maybe it's an email Q&A that opens the door, and then that door leading to all these other things down the line, be it case studies, technical articles, and what have you.
Terrific. That's great insight. Thank you. Now, tell us about any other tips, suggestions you have for especially younger professionals breaking
Mhm.
into this specific world of PR on the B2B industry side. What would you advise?
For a young PR professional, find ways to have those one-on-one conversations without being overly intrusive. To me, that's the secret sauce. You know, I think s- people are on one extreme or the other. They'll say, "Oh, like people prefer emails," and then that's all they do, or they'll say, "Oh, like they you get more bang for your buck seeing people face to face like we are right now and having these one-on-one relationships." But then there's a way that you can be overbearing. It's sort of looking for the right time and place where there's a value add for both sides and it comes back to, I know I've said it a few times, I'll say it again, knowing the audience,
Sure.
finding a way to have those one-on-one conversations and getting to know people beyond just the email pitch. I think that's how you can take these relationships to the next level. It's just how do you do that without being overbearing? That's sort of the secret sauce, in my opinion. It's not easy, but honestly, I think what you guys are doing with this is a great idea. Like being able to come on this show and it's a value to me. I know you want to use me as a resource to sort of help inform your audience, but for me, yeah, it's getting my face and our brands out there in regards to building our relationship with the PR professionals and your world as well, so it's sort of mutually beneficial. And I think this on your part is a pretty creative idea to sort of break down the walls of that typical email communication and get more personal. I think more things like this that establish those real relationships, but do it in a way that doesn't seem overbearing. To me, that's the secret sauce that PR professionals should be trying to find.
That is a great, great answer, and that is excellent insight. Thank you, Ben. Listen, Ben, we've come to a close here. Any last comments that you'd like to share with the audience? We'd welcome that.
No, I think you know we've covered a lot of ground in 15, 20 minutes. Know your audience is the main thing that I wanted to convey, and then the last thing I'll say, and I'm sure your audience is well aware of this, but be patient. Like when you're in the industry as long as I've been in, I mean, I was on vacation for 2.5 days a couple of weeks ago. Just left town to go to a wedding, and my inbox after 2.5 days was well into the hundreds, just ridiculously insane. And so I think, I've seen a few times, especially younger, if I don't necessarily respond or immediately post something to think that maybe I'm not interested or maybe we don't see, you all and your company as a fit. That's not necessarily the case. Many times it's as simple as we're just ridiculously, overloaded with information because there are so many companies, there are so many PR professionals, and
Right.
you know, at some point it'll all line up to where, hey, we talk one-on-one, we establish that relationship, and it gets to the next
Right.
level, and there's something that, that's mutually beneficial for both of us. And I do feel like sometimes PR professionals, if the first few pitches don't go well, will think that me as a news person that I'm just not interested for one reason or another. And it's not necessarily true. Sometimes it's just circumstances. The volume is so high. Keep trying. I'll do the best I can because obviously we want to represent our member companies, our industry. And if I don't catch you the first time, I apologize. But if you keep trying, I promise I'm trying to do the best I can at my job and for our readers, for our members, are the industry. And just stick with it. And I think we'll probably find ways that we can mutually collaborate and do things that achieve, satisfactory objectives for both of us.
Well, thank you, Ben. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Great to see you on camera. And
Yep.
thank you all for joining another Media Minute. Until next time, thank you.